Hello, friends, and welcome into the TexAgs Rewind presented by Specs. And they are the 4-time National Retailer of the Year. And we're here in the Rollo Insurance Studio with the Fan Show guys. We got Roy, Hunter, and Matt Browning. Kaylee Dreyer's here as well. Guys, before I ask you your favorite part of the show, I didn't do this during the show. I'm a bad son. Today is my dad's 95th birthday. So
happy birthday,
Bobby, I love
Mr.
you.
Nuno.
Happy birthday, Mr. Nuno. 95?
95 today.
That's still
awesome.
kicking. That boy.
That's awesome.
We're going to do a little thing for him this weekend. Paella. It's going to be great.
Ooh.
So, guys.
Feliz cumpleaños.
Well played, sir.
Feliz cumpleaños, Senor
Nuno. Roberto Nuno, or you
Roberto
could say,
Nuno.
I call him Papi. All right.
Papi.
And Richard calls me, which is weird, though. Hey, so, favorite part of the show, Shirley.
Phil Steele, man.
Okay.
That was a big guest. He's like the Mel Kiper, man. He's been around forever.
He has been around forever.
And I'm super
a really good
diligent
comparison.
about getting the Phil Steele mag, and I haven't gotten it yet, but I will.
You all right?
Yeah.
You?
Hunter Shirtliff on the Fan Show being back. That's huge.
Okay. You?
It's something I said off air. I got two things. Look, Texas versus Ohio State is like ISIS having an inter-squad game, all right? I truly believe in that. That's why I hope they both lose. But favorite part was actually McCray. There's special kind of niche guests. They come in and talk about Little League. I just thought that was so special and that he's a TexAgger. And, I thought it was a really neat interview.
By the way, the Fan Show did not make the cut. Kaylee, your favorite part of the show?
I was going to say the Fan Show.
It did make the cut.
Her favorite part is the Fan Show not making the
That's our
cut.
girl right there.
The dictator in this option is Nick, and he decides what goes on and what doesn't. And he, again, for 96 weeks in a row, has not picked the Fan Show. David Pollack was a great guest.
Oh, yeah, David Pollack. Yeah,
Okay.
he was good.
Stephen McGee was great.
Eh.
Phil Steele was great. Aaron Torres was Aaron Torres. And you are watching, I hope, still. Check it. I'd love to start off with some thoughts on what you think the Aggies can do this year.
Well, camp's always the realization of camp is always interesting as a player because your social life you realize just ended for the next 8 months. So you're like, all right, no more golf, a lot less social time, just down to business, and it's a good thing. But I think Elko last year, first time they won 8 games in 3 seasons, and there's a reason. Like when he came from Duke, you knew exactly what you were getting. Like just y'all had him before, right? The defensive prowess, I love the competitive spirit. I love the way he talks to people. I love the accountability. I think when you talk about NIL era, like the state of Texas is in a good spot. Like this is a good thing it's been a great thing for the state of Texas. You look at Texas, the Longhorns obviously had a good couple years, 25 wins the last 2 seasons. Texas Tech's got a lot more mojo. Texas A&M, I think the same thing. They got their coach. They've had talent for the last, several years, but I think you could see last year finally getting the coach and now your QB partially through the season, adding to it with the portal. So a lot of things that you should be excited about.
Okay. I'm going to change the subject a little bit. Well, actually a whole lot. So David, for those that don't know, Dave was great, a defensive end at Georgia. And I assume you still live in Georgia. The last couple of years when we were going to put out a, preseason prediction on who should win the conference, you just say Georgia and expect to feel like you're right. And that's not been the case this year. Everybody's talking about Texas, maybe some others. How's that going over well in Georgia? And just as a side part to that, your thoughts on Gunnar Stockton?
Well, I think that it's the realization, this year that like when you've seen Georgia the last several years, you go, I could name 2 or 3. Y'all could name 2 or 3 preseason 4 or 5 All-Americans, and you're like, yeah, he's stud. There's a lot of guys now on the roster that you look at Georgia's roster. I'm like, who's the All-Americans? I mean, I think Bolden's a stud at safety, but I think there's a lot of unknowns, and that's not what we're accustomed to seeing. And so that's why the Georgia, there's not as much love. Listen, Kirby loves that. Kirby's all right with that. He's going to be just fine actually being told for an off season that they're not good enough. They're not going to be in the SEC championship game. Last year before the year was Ohio State and Georgia, versus the field. Who's going to win a national championship? And most people were like Ohio State and Georgia because of their talented rosters. So
Mario Craver, this is brought to you by La Casa Tequila, raised in Aguilan and rooted in the SEC.
Ooh.
Tell me you're excited about Mario Craver.
I think we have to be excited about Mario Craver. Right, OB?
I am. He's fast. They need some fast guys on that at wide receiver.
Oh, we need difference makers at wide receiver. I think that was the one group that we probably all would agree that was the biggest underperformer on offense, at least. And, I think has been the case for several years now. And we've been spoiled at A&M to have some great wide receivers. Yep. My friend included, I'm biased towards Swope, but, Christian Kirk and Josh Reynolds, Mike Evans. I mean, you go through a list. We have some guys out there that are game changers, not on the college level, but the NFL level, right? And it's all about getting open at the wide receiver position. Last year, our guys could not separate consistently and get open. And that's very difficult for a quarterback, especially on those third and long distances when you're having to make tight window throws with two high safeties and guys can't get open. Right? And and then you get pressure. You have all these really good defensive ends in the SEC that are getting after you. And having a guy that can get it done. I mean, I think they handed the ball to him. He did kick returns. Obviously, as a receiver, Concepcion, and then Craver. Mississippi State is another guy that, in my opinion, in the spring game. What do we know from a spring game? They both look pretty good. Would you agree, Ob?
Yeah, very much. Because we saw Craver play against A&M. And he had a touchdown. He was just really fast guy out there. We've said this before. We were watching him last year in Starkville. I'm like, Mississippi State's not very good, but they've got something to build with this freshman Craver and this quarterback.
Michael Van Buren.
Yeah, and then, of course, Van Buren's now at LSU.
as the backup,
And Craver's here. So.
Well, the first thing about Coach Elko is he's 3 for 3 and overachieving my expectations for a year. You go back to Duke, both years he finished higher than I expected. And last year, A&M, there they are, the final game of the season, playing to get into the SEC title game. So he's 3 for 3 in that respect. I think he's doing a really good job building this team. And so I'm very high on Coach Elko.
All right, so what are your thoughts on A&M this season? You said they've overachieved, so I guess was the 8-4 overachieving in your eyes, or just the way the season played out, and what do you think for 25?
Getting to 7-1, and then, of course, being in contention for the SEC championship game. Now, naturally, the way the season finished with the 4 losses in the last 5 games that hurt the overall record. But I think to get A&M to where they were last year, number 10 in the country at 1.7-1, was a great job. Now for this year, they are in year 2, which is a big plus for all head coaches. Every coach I talk to, and you get to year 2, I say, where you at this year? And it's like, well, we're so much better shape. We know the players know the system. We're in, and now we got more of our players in there. And you look at the Aggies on the experience chart; they're number 6 on my experience chart this year after being number 56 last year. And I'll go to the offensive line as probably one of the biggest areas of improvement. When I talked to Coach Elko last year and went over the offensive line with him, he said, Phil, I think we're probably middle of the pack in the SEC. This year when I talked to him, he said, we're really talented. We're top-tier SEC. We're a Joe Moore Award contender. So I think that sort of speaks volume, not only the offensive line, but the overall team. You look at the running backs, you got Moss, Owens, and Daniels. All 3 of those guys could be feature backs. Love the addition of Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver at receiver. Marcel Reed now has experience as a sophomore, and defensively plenty of talent throughout, like Torian York at linebacker, Cassius Howell at defensive end, Will Lee at corner. It's a very talented team. I've got my number 2 surprise team in the country, and a surprise team is a non-top 10 team. Nobody's going to have them in their top 10 that I think has a shot of making a playoff, and I think one upset probably could possibly put A&M in a playoff. I've got them favored in 9 games, got an underdog in 3. I got an underdog at Notre Dame, at LSU, and at Texas. Pull one upset, and all of a sudden A&M's in the playoff with the 2-loss team.
So we had Phil Steele on the show earlier. He talked about LSU being the most winnable of those 3 hard road games for A&M, and it's been a topic I brought up a couple different times in the offseason. I just get your thoughts on these 3 tough road games. I'll break them down for you. Early on, you got Notre Dame on the road. You've got LSU, and you got Texas to close out the year. So just from those 3, if you're to say, this is the ranking order of, I think, the most winnable ones, how would they go?
Yeah, first of all, very aware of those 3 road games because, obviously, especially coming out of SEC Media Day, see how many people are excited about that team. And it's just, I think everything in the SEC going forward is all about schedule. Manageable, as crazy as it sounds by SEC standards. I think it raises the question about out-of-conference games and the value they have. But I think I would agree with Phil Steele. And, I forget if we've talked about this, David, because this has been a pretty consistent take of mine. I don't get the Garrett Nussmeier hype. I don't. And not only do I not get the Garrett Nussmeier hype, I think they're losing to Clemson in week 1. I think the NFL fan that's tuning in Saturday looking for the number 1 overall pick in Garrett Nussmeier is going to see the potential number 1 overall pick. He's just going to be wearing white and orange and Cade Klubnik. And so I'm not high on LSU. I guess in theory I get the hype, but I think we did talk about this. Even if you like Garrett Nussmeier, basically an entirely new O-line, basically an entirely new wide receiver core, and not to say that there isn't talent in those spots, but I'm just not as high on them as everybody else. And so by default, I do think that means that I would say that in theory, that is the easiest game. Of course, as you mentioned, it is just so tough to win in that building, in that venue.
All right, so this is Nick agrees with you, by the way. He said LSU.
Nick's a smart man.
Mr. Shurtleff, it's been forever. Tell the people what to do.
I actually do this a lot. I miss it. I find the show, get the rewind.
Okay.
Make sure I like it. I'm subscribed. I share it. I comment.
You comment?
I don't
think you've commented.
It's been a while.
I want somebody who's never commented before that does watch. Is like, I wish they didn't ask me to comment today. If you do.
So Hunter's going to do it today, finally.
I am.
You've never done it before.
Somebody comment something awkward. Kaylee, what should they say? Back scratcher.
That's awkward. That
back
works.
scratcher. That was the topic on the show earlier with
yeah.
OB. Back scratcher.
Back scratcher.
If you type back scratcher, you're all in. We'll see you next time.